Hello, everybody. Welcome to Bluebird and Bee Tarot. I am Melanie. I am so glad that you are here today. We are going to be taking a look at the question, what is the unfinished business between you and your person? And we're using a tarot deck. If you're watching this on the day it comes out, happy Halloween. This is a timeless reading, so you can watch it at any time. But in honor of the spookiest day of the year, I'm using a tarot deck that is pretty new. It's the absolutely gorgeous Unfinished Business Tarot by MJ Cullinane, and it's ghost themed. So people who passed away with unfinished business. And yeah, it's really spectacular. If you are a collector of tarot decks, I highly recommend. 2 thumbs up, 5 stars, 10 out of 10 would recommend. But, yeah, so unfinished business is not just what people have when they crossed over. There is also unfinished business between people. If you are in separation, even if you are in union, there can be unfinished business that's holding you back, that's making you feel stuck. So that's what we're going to take a look at today. There's 3 piles to choose from. All 3 of these cards are from the Unfinished Business Tarot. We're also going to be using another gorgeous tarot deck that's ghost themed. It's called Titanic Risen Spirits, and it's like as it sounds, about the Titanic and ghosts. So yeah, I'm really excited to dive into this. I'm such a nerd. I love themes. So yeah, and I'm also like, the question is really juicy and deep as well. So if you can't tell, I'm nerdily giddy about getting into this. So yeah, let's get into it. There are 3 piles to choose from. The first one is the Fool. Okay, the second is the Wheel of Fortune. And the third is the Star. Okay, so that's 3 piles. Pile 1, the Fool. Pile 2, the Wheel of Fortune. Pile 3, the Star. So I'm going to give some time to see which pile you are drawn to. You absolutely can be drawn to more than one. More than one might have messages for you. And it could even be different piles for different people in your life. This doesn't necessarily have to be romantic. If the time that's allotted on the video is not enough, then you can pause and then meet me at the reading. The timestamps are down below. So I will see you at your reading. Hello, pile 1. If you chose the Fool, then you have arrived at your reading. Let's get into it. What is the unfinished business between you and your person? Spirit, tap me into pile 1's unfinished business with their person, please. Okay. Oh, wow. Okay, so this is really interesting because the 2 flanking cards here talk about entering into a new era with doorways Ooh, and then we actually have the image of an archway. So archways and doorways in the language of symbolism mean entering a new chapter, really letting go of the past and entering into a new future. And so yeah, we have doorways, and then the artwork forms. There's actually 3 distinct arches that are formed here with the artwork between the trees. And we can see in this central arch that like light lies beyond the arch. That if we are looking for, that idea of the sun or the star to guide us to a brighter future, we actually have to step through the archway. We have to enter a new future. And what is holding that back from happening? What is the unfinished business that Spirit, like very bluntly, is saying with the 3rd card here? Let it go. Like, it's time to let it go. Yeah, so the central card, the toxic spirit card here in the middle, says summoning drama and negativity. So I think that, with your person, I think that this is a habit that the 2 of you have collectively, but I think it's also true about you in your own heart and thoughts as well. And likely it is in their hearts and thoughts as well. Like the fact that it happens between the 2 of you, and I actually feel like it's a little explosive at times, is just every single argument turns into a relitigation of all the past arguments. And with negativity here as well, that idea of negativity, I think that there is probably because of past pain. This is not a judgment reading at all. Like, oh my gosh, who among us has not had some dramatic, toxic relationships in our life? I mean, and where we have been the toxic ones even. So yeah, this is a very common human experience. This is a no judgment sphere. But I do think that the 2 of you have a very hurtful habit of, the concept of giving someone the benefit of the doubt. I think you guys kind of do the opposite of that. I think that there is always an assumed worst intention. And then when the other person tries to explain what they actually meant or what their actual intention behind a phrase or an action was, it's met with derision. It's like, excuses. Okay, whatever. Or if that's what you meant to say or meant to do, why didn't you just say it or do it? Like, there's a lot of frustration here. And if the 2 of you are going to go forward in a healthy way, there does need to be this process of releasing the pattern that is between the 2 of you. And here's the thing that I think is interesting. I wasn't even thinking when I was formulating the sentence in my mind before I said it, the idea of there needs to be a process of letting it go was not part of the sentence. My mouth said that in real time. But I think that it's important because of that. Like, that's Spirit directly channeled that through me. So I don't think it's as simple as a decision. I think if it were as simple as just making a resolution or making a decision, it would have been done by now. Like, there's no world in which the 2 of you want to keep hurting each other like this. If you cared that little for each other, if you were honestly that disdainful of one another, you wouldn't be together right now. That would have, this would have dissipated by now. You would have gone your separate ways. There is something holding you together as well. So there needs to be a new era, and you both need to commit to it because, I think it's not going to be easy to let the past go and move forward with a fresh slate. And if one person keeps re-triggering the past patterns, I think it will actually just be way too difficult for the other person to resist being drawn into it. So, I hate to say this, pile 1, but it might be advantageous to the relationship in the long run to take a little bit of time apart with the express intention of getting stronger, getting healthier, coming back together with healthier patterns. Yeah, and speaking of process, the process of letting it go, it might also be advantageous to search. I mean, there's so much information on the internet, including like YouTube, even TikTok, etc., about, spiritual rituals to go through to cleanse toxic energy, to cleanse the past, to turn a page, to go into a new future, that kind of thing. Because there might be something a little bit more concrete that your brain needs to hang its hat on in order to make that transition. Yeah, we've got the Hanged Man. Absolutely. Like, way to identify the issue right off the bat, Spirit. 100%. This is stuck energy. Oh, interesting that these two cards came out in a row. But I mean, it definitely tells a very cohesive, clear and cohesive story, which is the idea that you need to extend generosity to one another. With the Six of Pentacles, yeah, there needs to be a mutual extension of grace to one another. And that came out even in the Oracle cards, that is something that is not happening whatsoever. That, that it is the opposite, that you are extending the assumption of the worst possible intentions to each other. And again, no judgment. That could very well be from past hurts, but it is keeping you stuck. If the two of you really don't want to separate, if you want to fight to keep this relationship, there has got to be an air of a covering of grace over one another's intentions. Yeah, I don't view this as being a situation where you are genuinely cruel to one another, where you do things that are like, I think that you do things to one another that are hurtful, but I also think that they're much more value neutral than you give one another credit for. I think that there is a long history of each of you taking an action that in and of itself is neither hurtful nor helpful, but the other person just, it's more about the execution or the way that it's done versus the action or the words themselves. So it's the assumed intentions have caused a lot of the hurt here. And that's a really, really hard pattern to break. And in fact, with the third card here, that's even acknowledged that this is likely going to be a hard habit to break. With the Seven of Pentacles, it's going to take hard work, first of all, but consistent work, daily commitment to the change. Like I had said, this is a process. This is not one decision. This is not one resolution. This is a daily process that needs to be committed to consistently every single day. Okay, tell me more, Spirit. Okay, so this is really a significant second line here, I feel like, because it's two cards. I feel like they are very much set up as this choice that you need to make, that the two of you need to make in order to bring happiness. Because right now you're only bringing each other pain, and you are so enmeshed that is making you live a life of pain largely. So yeah, there's a choice to make here. And this choice has actually been referenced more lightly a couple of times in the reading so far, but it's put together so starkly here. So with the Lovers, that's the one choice. Total commitment, total soulmate energy, total like clinging to one another, you and me against the world energy. We're going to do the work. We're going to, like this older couple, we are going to make it to the end of life together. We are a forever couple. Or the other choice is the Eight of Cups. Walk away. Choose happier individual lives for yourselves. But it's this Hanged Man energy. It's the I'm stuck. It's back and forth. I'm contemplating committing and I'm contemplating walking away every day. What you don't realize is this stuck energy, like that's the painful part. I think you're afraid of the pain of walking away because it's going to be such a like more closely concentrated, sharp, intense kind of pain. But it's also the kind of pain that you then heal from and then it's over. And then I think you're also afraid of having that vulnerable conversation where you both do decide to recommit and do the work, because change is also painful. That is also going to be a more intense kind of pain that comes on you. But that is a pain that leads to a beautiful life. This kind of pain also ends. The reason why I say that the kind of pain you're in now is the worst kind of pain is because this kind of pain can go on for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, for the rest of your life, because it's the kind of pain that doesn't get resolved. This situation needs action one way or another in order to be resolved. Alrighty, let's wrap up with some letters, numbers, and charms. Okay, so we've got C, M, W, 2 M's, so double the M's, V, and J. Yeah, so this is making me think of victory and justice. Yeah, okay, so M&Ms are something that people use. Yeah, so there's this method of staying focused called the Pomodoro method, which is where you do small focused sprints of work, and then you take a short break, and then you go back for another focused sprint. And some people use small food rewards like M&Ms to keep them focused during the sprint, because they know, like, okay, during the next break, I get to have, like 3 M&Ms or something. Wouldn't work for me. I would be like, that's not a reward. That's 3 M&Ms. That's a tease. Like, that's so, but it works really well for some people. So yeah, I think that this is representing the idea of a sweet reward, and also the idea of like incremental small rewards that keep you focused throughout. Okay, so we've got 5, 2, oh, another 5. So yeah, strong matched pair energy coming through here with 5 and 5, and then M and M. Okay, 4, 6, and 9. Okay, let's get some zodiac signs. Okay, so we've got Virgo, Taurus, ooh, strong earth in it. Okay, come on, Melanie, words. And saying them correctly is important. Okay, so strong earth energy. Then we've got Leo, Saggy, and another Virgo. Man, that matched pair energy. Can't stop, won't stop. Okay, so the first thing that jumps out at me is this camera. So yeah, I do think that one of the things that is keeping you very entwined with this relationship is that the two of you have a lot of shared memories. Yeah, with this sewing machine, you are knit together. Your souls are knit together. Okay, why did we get 2 owls? More freaking matched pair energy. Matched pair energy came through in the letters, the numbers, the zodiac signs, and the freaking charms. Come on now. So I think, yeah, that's another reason. Your souls are knit together. You are soulmate energy. But I also think these 2 owls coming out together is indicative of the idea that both partners have to commit to exhibiting this wisdom, to growing in their spiritual journey, to leveling up, to maturing, to doing the work. Both partners have to commit to wisdom or it's not going to work. So then we've got the charm that says sister. So, yeah, so this could be, if this is not a romantic relationship, this could be like a sister relationship, like a best friend kind of relationship. Yeah, that is also, so it's a specific member of family. So it gives me the idea of this is just a person in your soul family. With the ballet slippers, I feel like this really has to be handled delicately, approached delicately with grace. That's the second time that the idea of grace, the concept of grace has come out, that you're extending an assumption of grace to one another, an assumption of good intentions to one another. But also I think with wisdom and grace, it's also like choosing your moment, choosing your words, just really valuing the long-term relationship versus the short-term satisfaction of like getting a dig in, if that makes sense. Yeah, and with this lotus flower, that is very much the idea of being connected to spirit, and spirit being, your spirit team, spirit, the universe really guiding the two of you toward one another and guiding all of your conversations, and that things get easier and more fulfilling as you each individually grow closer to spirit as well. Okay, and then finally with this bird flying charm, so that is the idea of looking at things from a bird's eye view. So it's taking into account the past when your relationship was really beautiful and really good. It's taking into account the future where, there is, with hard work, a return to that sort of glory state of the connection. And so that ties in with the idea of grace and taking the long view as well, that you are It's delayed gratification. You're foregoing, this very, like this idea of immediate satisfaction for long-term satisfaction, joy and bliss, etc. Oh, sorry, something dropped onto the table and it distracted me for a second. I had to see what it was. Yeah, so I'm glancing here to see if there's anything else that's jumping out at me. I feel like I've gotten everything I'm meant to get from this. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap that up by letting you know that I am proud of you. Oh, no, I know what I am supposed to say. Gosh, I am the worst promoter of my own channel ever. That if this reading resonated with you, it's so helpful if you like the video. That helps it spread. If you'd like to see more readings like this, subscribe, even put the channel on bell notification. If you would want to comment below, I love to interact with people in the comments. And if you want to connect with me for a personal reading, the instructions are in the description. But I will wrap up by saying that I am so proud of you, Pile 1. You're doing a great job. You matter. You are loved, you are worthy, and you are enough. Okay, bye. Hello, Pile 2. If you chose the Wheel of Fortune, you have arrived at your reading. So let's get into it. Spirit, tap me into Pile 2 and their person. What is the unfinished business between Pile 2 and their person, please? What is the unfinished business between Pile 2 and their person? Oh, wow. Look at this is from 2 different decks, but look at the similarity in the energies with heart and spirit. And then look at the similarities of the colors. This deep teal accent color is the heart and the moon. It's the same on both cards. Okay, what else? What else, Spirit? So this middle oracle card is from an expansion pack that is ghosts that represent different energies of toxicity. So this is specifically meant to, I don't know if it's loud enough to pick it up on the microphone, but my dog's taking a nap and she just started dreaming. So she's making dream noises. But so this is specifically meant to, to talk about what is the toxic energy that's keeping you stuck. What needs to be resolved between the two of you. Okay, so we've got heart and spirit, and then we've got the Vampire of Richmond, ego and narcissism. So, yeah, first of all, so I think what's going on here is one of you is very earthly focused, meaning people are important, feelings are important, helping people is important, and between the two of you in your relationship, the idea of helping versus hurting one another is important, whereas the other person leans toward this spirit, like there is this intellectualism, and so it's like justice is important. The concept of justice is important. Larger social issues are important. Yes, it's a much more global feeling about what is important, like individual feelings or large scale justice. And I do feel like with ego and narcissism, I feel like you both are very entrenched in your own position to the point where you think the other person, I don't think you think this all the time, but I do think this is a type of toxic energy that does arise in conflict sometimes, where it's like you think the other person is basically an idiot. Like, you're like, how can you even think that or consider that to matter at all when this other thing is also at play, which is clearly the important thing? Like, how are you crazy? What are you even thinking? And I think you both feel the exact same way about that. You think the other person is short-sighted. You think the other person is valuing the wrong things. Yeah, and this would come in, like, this is really a strong conflict that would come up, for instance, in child rearing. So like one of you would really value the feelings and the like safety and self-esteem of that little person, whereas the other would really value the future, like raising a good citizen, raising someone who does what's right. It's not so much about the feelings of the moment or even the feelings of the person. It's the values that get instilled. So that's the type of like real world scenario where this kind of conflict of foundational values would come up. And I mean, that's just one example. Like when you have a real foundational difference about what is important in the world, that's going to come up in small ways and large on an every single day basis. And honestly, it's not the difference in values that is causing the problem, right? In fact, the two of you could be the strongest team if you would work together rather than against one another. Yeah, I mean, heart and spirit, like who can beat that? That's an unbeatable team. That's yin yang. That's everything you need to completely cover the spectrum. The thing that's holding you back, the unfinished business that needs to be resolved, is how each of you is very convinced that your perspective is right and the other person's perspective is wrong. That's the thing that's holding you back. Yeah, you've got to really, and I think even the colors have something important to say about this, because like the heart and the moon, they are the same color. I think that's your goals, your values, your visions of the future. You're coming from the same core, but the surrounding color is very different. Like the way that you would get to those core goals and those central goals is very different. And this is where learning to compromise comes in, and viewing things in not just such a black and white or pink and blue, as it were, lens. That it's not like the heart is not the only thing that's important. It's really not. And the spirit is not the only thing that's important. Like the heart's not silly and the spirit is not cold. Both of those things are required for a well-rounded approach. Yeah, so there's some painful energy between the two of you right now. This is not going to be completely easy to resolve, but there is, if you choose to commit and resolve it, there is a beautiful future that awaits the two of you. Yeah, so with the Page of Pentacles, I honestly feel like the Page of Pentacles represents both of your spirit teams, that they are trying to usher you to a place that is safe. They are trying to nudge you toward a place, excuse me, that is stable and solid. The thing that is holding you back is like I said, the conflict is not, or the issue is probably a better way to put it. The issue is not that you have these different foundational points of view. The issue is that within your own minds, you are stuck into your point of view being the only correct one. Yeah, so breaking out of that mental prison, like it's only your own perspectives that are keeping you locked in this conflict. So breaking out of that mental prison is the way to go. And with the Magician coming out with the final card here, you know, in the Oracle cards, we did get this color similarity of the deep teal heart and the deep teal moon, which I felt like represents your shared goals, your shared vision of the future, which is interesting that we get the Magician as the outcome card here, because the Magician is the master manifester of the tarot. And yeah, one of the really foundational concepts of manifesting is that you cast your mind forward to the future that you desire. You live in the end. That's what it's called. So it's not that you're delusional. It's not that you fool yourself into actually believing that on a 3D level, your desired outcome has already happened. It's that you live in the energy of it. It has already happened. That, you discipline all of your thoughts and all of your imaginings to only focus on this beautiful, harmonious future that you desire, where your partner takes your points of view seriously and you do the same for them. And that's the only thing you focus your attention on. Anything that pops into your mind that undermines that vision of the future, you transmute it. You take a deep breath, you let it go. Yeah, you just expel it, and then you turn your thoughts back to what you want to intentionally create between one another. But yeah, I think that is the crux of it with the Eight of Swords here, that it's your own mental perspective. And not just I'm not just talking to you. I'm talking to the both of you. It's the collective your mental perspective that is keeping things stuck here, that is the unfinished business that needs to be resolved. Holding the deck upside down. Okay, so we've got the King of Coins and the Knight of Cups. Yeah, I mean, honestly, this is very reminiscent of the heart and spirit. It's like one of you has this like very overarching way of thinking. You're thinking of the long term. You're thinking of like the safety of the family versus the like the inner fulfillment, the current inner fulfillment of the family. And by family, I just mean you're like the people that you're responsible for, like the people that you're affecting. That could be the two of you. That could be like a much larger community, but one of you is thinking of the good of the whole in the long term, safety, stability. And then one of you with the Knight of Cups is very much thinking of, the emotional gratification of the short term. And both of those things are important. I mean, you can't only focus on the long term and like, who cares who gets hurt in the process. That doesn't, by the time you get to the long term, you got nobody left around you because you've hurt all of them and shown no remorse. Yet you also can't only focus on the short term and making people feel good in the short term, because as emotionally mature and kind and compassionate and supportive as that is, like, somebody's got to keep the rent paid, right? Somebody's got to do the practical stuff. So it's yet another example about how the two of you genuinely are like the best team when you choose to work together and not against each other. So I really think that that is the path to resolving this unfinished business, is let go of the idea on both of your parts. Let go of the idea that your perspective is inherently superior, and understand that both perspectives are needed for all of the decisions that affect your lives. Like, this is not a situation where, you can, argue with the intention of, leading to an end of one person giving in. That's going to either enrage the King of Coins person or devastate the Knight of Cups person. You have to, I don't even want to say you have to argue, but if you're gonna argue, like, you have to argue with the end goal being a compromise. Like, it needs to get out of the realm of a power struggle and into the realm of teamwork, a compromise. Everything needs to be a compromise. Yeah, it's not the easiest path to choose as far as partnerships go, but very fulfilling, because once you do reach that compromise, again, this is a very yin-yang kind of situation. You're stronger together. Okay, so we've got U, B. Oh, that makes me think of the word Ubuntu. So one of you might be into computers, or you might have met over the computer or something like that. You might, if there's distance involved in the connection, you might be communicating largely over the computer. That might be exacerbating any tension that's there. Okay, we've got W, R, J, T, and E. We did get two B's that came out. So that is matched pair energy. Let's see. I see the name Bert, but spelled with an E. Is that how Bert and Ernie is spelled? I'm not sure. I can't picture it right now. Let's see. Oh, this is not an 18+ reading, but I will say the opposite of dry is on here. So yeah, there could be a pretty incendiary physical connection between the two of you. Yeah, we've got Trey here, which is, that's also a name. And then let's see, and it also means very in French. Okay, let's go ahead and get some numbers. Oh, we've got 007, License to Kill. But we also got 2 zeros and 2 sevens. That's matched pair energy doubled. Yeah, pile 1 came out with a lot of matched pair energy in the charms and letters too. Okay, let's pull some zodiac signs. Okay, so we've got Taurus, Libra. Yeah, a balance. That's what's needed. Come on now. Virgo and Leo. Yeah, with Leo, that makes sense as well because like it's a fight. Right now, it's a fight for dominance of which perspective is going to come out on top, and what it needs to be is Libra, a balance of the two perspectives. Okay, so we've got the Princess charm, which does lead me to believe that for a fair amount of the people that are watching this pile, there could be kids involved, specifically referenced here, a daughter. But yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be a daughter. It doesn't necessarily have to be that there are kids involved. But I feel like there's a good portion of the pile that, you know, it's decisions about things that have to do with kids have been a point of conflict. Yeah, with this arrow, that is very much about taking aim and focusing on the future, like with the Magician. With this owl, this wisdom, that is the idea of understanding the value of delayed gratification, that you're showing wisdom. You're not giving in to your impulses, but you are taking the long view. Yeah, with this lotus, that has to do with being very connected to spirit. So I think that's something that will make that easier, is if you are spiritually leveling up, if you are doing things like meditation, like creative pursuits, communing with nature, physical activity, just things that are getting you in touch with your inner self, your higher self, your spirit team, the universe, etc. Yeah, and with butterfly, that is transformation. That is leveling up. That is like, oh, interestingly, yeah, on the Wheel of Fortune card, butterflies are pretty prominent around the wheel. So yeah, I feel like that is really spirit saying, if you want the Wheel of Fortune to turn, if you want to enter into this new prosperous era with one another, then you have to individually transform. You both have to do that. And then with this dragon, so that's interesting to me because, so dragons, in the lore of dragons, kind of their main thing is protecting their treasure. So I feel like that's spirit saying you have to make a decision that this connection is your treasure and you will protect it and nurture it against all odds. You will make it a priority. You will not let others intrude. You will protect it. You will hold it close to your heart like a treasure and you will protect it. Alrighty, pile 2. So If you enjoyed this reading, if you got something out of it, I would love it if you would like, subscribe, leave a comment. I love interacting with people in the comments. Liking and subscribing really helps the video to spread. It supports the channel in a way that I am extremely grateful for. I so appreciate it. If you want to connect with me for a personal reading, the instructions are in the description. But what I want to wrap up by saying is that I am so proud of you, Pile 2. You matter, you are loved, you are worthy, and you are enough. Okay, bye. Hello, Pile 3. If you chose the star, then you have arrived at your reading. So let's get into it. What is the unfinished business between you and your person? I will already say that just based on what I feel from the meditation and what I got from the card of the star is I do feel like one person is putting the other person up on a pedestal. That's part of the issue, which, you know, if you're not in that position, sounds like that would be great. It's like, yes, put me on a pedestal. Please put me on a pedestal. But when there is an inequality in the way that you view and treat each other in any way, even if you are ostensibly the one being, you know, lifted higher, it's still a toxic situation. It's still a situation that is going to lead to, trouble down the road. And I think it already has led to some unfinished business, some toxic patterns starting that need to be dealt with. So let's see what the cards have to say. Let's get into it. Okay, open. I would say that's a very auspicious card to begin with because it does sort of paint a picture of the future where the two of you can be really honest with each other. And I feel like that's the beginning of any transformation. When you're walking on eggshells or afraid to be your authentic self or speak your authentic truth, that is a recipe for getting into stuck energy. That's, you know, going back to the topic of the reading, that's a recipe for unfinished business. So yeah, being open, being just completely cards on the table, so to speak, you know, no pun intended, but yeah, just really being honest about what you feel, your wants, your needs. That's the way to go. Yeah, because confusion. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because right now I feel like there is this divide that both of you are constantly having to do this mental math between what your partner has said and what they meant. Like there's a lot of filling in the gaps that's going on, and I feel like they're not always being filled in correctly. Of course they're not. Okay, so the candlelight spirit, virtue and oppression. Oh, that is interesting. With the idea of putting someone up on a pedestal, it's this idea of a gilded cage. It's the idea of looking at the other person as being so pure or so like virtuous, so amazing that they can't handle unpleasantness, or they can't handle like the truth. They can't handle realness. And so I think there's a lot of coded language that the two of you are communicating in, a lot of passive aggressive language. Yes. Yeah, I think there's also a lot of expected mind reading that is happening that, if one person says something is fine, whether or not it actually is fine is meant to be intuited by the tone that they said it was fine in. A lot of stuff like that. It's like, it's fine, but is it really fine? Yeah, it's great. It's like, well, it's obviously not fine, but that person won't open up and say what is not fine about it. And then on the other part, I think for the person who is putting the other person up on the pedestal, I think there's a lot of, I think this is probably you, pile 3. There's a lot of like, you might lose your temper because it's very difficult to exist in a constant state of suppressing your feelings. So you might lose your temper, but then you get very scared about losing that person. And so you scramble immediately to the conclusion that you were wrong and you're trying to apologize, you're trying to make it up. And that's another way that the real issues never get dealt with. I mean, my heart goes out to you, pile 3, because I feel like this is a real, to quote Rent, looking for baggage that goes with mine kind of situation. I feel like you both have experienced trauma, whether that was childhood trauma or past romantic trauma. I think that you both have developed these unhealthy attachment styles, but it's like your neuroses are a perfect match for one another. I think that you care about each other so deeply, but you're hurting each other. And you're hurting yourselves because, you each are your own worst enemy in your own way. But the main issue here is the confusion. There is so much like non-communication communication going on here. There is so much like sort of hints or half communications, or the meaning being opposite of the words that are said. Like there's a lot of that going on. And neither of you are being fair to the other person, but moreover, pile 3, neither of you are being fair to yourselves. And I think that each of you in your own way are scared to rock the boat. I'm hearing that old, like, rock the boat, don't rock the boat, baby, rock the boat, don't tip the boat over. But I mean, I think the boat needs to be rocked. I think you're both really scared of going past the point of no return, of being so open and honest with each other that it becomes clear that this connection isn't viable. And that might be true for some of you, and it's probably not true for others. But here's the thing. If it's true, it's already true, whether it's being acknowledged or not. So if that is the case for you, for your connection, that being really, truly open and honest with each other would reveal that this connection needs to end. Like, hiding that fact and dancing around that fact doesn't mean it's not true. The connection does need to end. You're just not ending it. So you're prolonging a situation that is just hurting each of you more by the day. And here's the other thing. So worst case scenario, you do have a really vulnerable series of conversations and you do mutually decide, like, this needs to end. A year from now, you'll be happier. Like, it will be really painful at the outset, but a year from now, you'll be happier. That's the worst case scenario. Best case scenario, you uncover like just a ton of healthier ways to communicate. And, you salvage this. This new openness allows it to thrive. I mean, you know what they say, sunshine is the best disinfectant. So there is, there's infection that is, I don't want to say destroying. That seems strong. That's stronger than what I feel. But there is infection that is taking root. Let's at least put it that way. And Yeah, and sunshine is going to be the best disinfectant. Like, even look at how this daisy really looks like the sun in the center. Yeah, you've got to bring these hidden parts of your connection and your communication out into the sun. Okay, so let's dive into tarot. Spirit, tap me into pile 3 in their person, please. Tap me into pile 3 and their person. Yeah, so this definitely has to do with the past. You both are suffering. Yeah, that's the thing that is striking me as so sad here, and why I just really had that feeling of like, pile 3, my heart goes out to you, to both of you, honestly, is because you both are enacting psychodramas right now that neither of you wrote, neither of you instigated. Like, you are both playing out toxic patterns that were installed in you by other people. Neither of you chose these unhelpful communication patterns. And neither of you chose this shadow work that you're dealing with. And with the King of Pentacles, Pentacles is the slowest, most careful, most step-by-step suit in the tarot. So it's likely not going to be an overnight road to recovery. But with the King of Pentacles, there is a foundation of stability and solidity here. Like, there is a foundation of being able to depend on one another. Really, truly depend on one another in an unconditional way. But it's really being blocked right now by the pain of the past. And yeah, it's not even the pain of the past that is blocking it. It's more than that. It's the responses that each of you have to the pain of the past. It's the patterns that were instilled by the pain of the past. Yeah, and so 8 of Swords came out in the in pile 2 as well. So there might be messages for you in pile 2. It's so applicable here as well. It's that each of you are caught in this mental prison. And that's the tragedy of it. Neither one of you constructed the bars. Neither one of you consigned yourselves to serve this sentence in this mental prison. Like, you are paying the price for actions taken by others, but you are also the only ones that can fix it. Like, it's now up to you to do the work, to dismantle the mental bars that are keeping you imprisoned and set yourself free. Yeah, because there is a beautiful, stable future that exists for you and for your partner. Perhaps that future is together, perhaps it's apart. I mean, I think it's going to be a different story for every individual person that's listening to this pile right now. But either way, you'll be free. You're so scared of seeing what's outside the cell that you've constructed with limiting thoughts and beliefs. But there is a beautiful world out there. Yeah, and I'm drawn to notice this teddy bear as well. Like, I feel like the relationship, the connection is almost like a comfort object for you. Yeah, and comfort objects, they can absolutely serve their purpose of providing comfort in moments of high stress. But if they kind of go past that purpose and they become to the point that you really can't function without the use of that object, then it's become a crutch. And I think that's kind of where you're at right now. Yeah, okay. So with the Three of Wands, that is what's over the horizon. Yeah, you need to start thinking of the future, the far future. Yeah, because not being authentic and vulnerable, of, you know, trying to keep up a facade of this, like dancing around the real issues, you know that's a short-term solution, but you're fine with it because it keeps the short-term intact. And it's too scary to think about the long-term and to do things that will support the long-term, but perhaps at the expense of the short-term. Like, I think that you are so just scared to let go of the comfort object. Yeah, but it's time to see what else can be out there, because a happier, freer future does await you, pile 3. With or without the comfort object. That's the part that's scary. But the truth is, Spirit is saying a happier, freer, more stable future does await you. But with this Ace of Coins, like, you have to take the first step. You have to start yourself along that path. There's no magic portal to the King of Pentacles. You have to start at Ace and just like, then you go to 2, then you go to 3. That's the only way. That's the only way that it works. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of work ahead of you. Like, this unfinished business is no joke to resolve. There's a lot of work ahead. But I have faith in you, pile 3. I believe that you can do it. Yeah, let's get some letters, numbers, and charms. If this reading is resonating with you, I would love it if you would like. It helps the video spread. It supports the channel. Subscribe if you want to see more readings like this in the future. Leaving a comment below is amazing. I love to interact with people in the comments. If you want to connect with me for a personal reading, instructions are in the description. Oh, wow. K and U were little rogue letters. They bounced off across the table here. Okay, so we've got K and U. L, W, V. Oh, W and V coming out next to each other puts me in mind of the words win and victory. So yeah, and then L is lose. Yeah, so we got 2 words that indicate winning and victory and only one that indicates loss. So I feel like this is about how and with the 8 of Swords being caught in your own mental prison, it ties in with that. This is about how you frame your own self-concept. Are you a person that loses, or are you a person that wins and is victorious? And if you think of yourself as a person who loses primarily, it's time to undergo the hard, arduous, slow work, but critically important work of shifting your mindset, shifting your self-confidence. Okay, D, Z, and then did I say X and Q? I don't remember. Yeah. So let's get some numbers. Okay, we've got 1, 2, 5, and 9. Yeah, that's interesting that 1 and 2 came out in order like that, because that was part of the example that I used with the Ace of Coins, that you have to take it step by step. First 1, then 2, then 3. So I feel like that validates that message. There's no shortcuts. You got to do the work. I mean, I wish there were shortcuts. That would be amazing. But unfortunately, there are not. Okay, so we've got Aries, Cancer, Gemini, Sagittarius, and another Cancer. Okay, I love that 2 really large oversized charms came out here, and it's the oversized heart and the compass rose. Yeah, so your heart will tell you which way to go, pile 3. I think you need to quiet your inner voices, and you need to quiet your fears enough so that you can actually hear the guidance that your heart is giving you. But once you do, your heart will unfailingly tell you the right way to go. Okay, so with this bicycle, that's the idea to me of moving forward, of making progress. Yeah, with this rocking horse, that is very much the idea that both of you are playing out patterns that started in childhood, reacting to trauma that happened in childhood. Yeah, with this bird, I feel like that's the idea of seeing things from a bird's eye view. You're making sacrifices in the short term to serve the long term. Yeah, with this turtle, that is very much that Pentacles energy that came out so prominently, is that it's a slower journey. It's a step-by-step journey, but it's, the progress that you make is so well earned. Yeah, and with this leaping stag and with the Colosseum here, I feel like traveling from place to place might be part of this, or distance might be part of this. And that could also be, part of what's making this so difficult to resolve. Like, I think that, routine is something that's difficult to establish. And there's like always this feeling that, if you're together, it's always a special time. You don't want to ruin the special time, like things like that. Alrighty, so that is what I have for you, pile 3. Again, if you like, subscribe, comment, it helps the channel grow so much. I appreciate it more than you know. If you want to connect with me for a personal reading, the instructions are in the description. But what I really want to wrap up by letting you know, pile 3, is that I am proud of you. You matter, you are loved, you are worthy, and you are enough. Okay, bye, pile 3.